I know I'm tardy to the party with this subject, and I'm sure you've already seen it by now since it happened a few days ago, but just like Game of Thrones Season 8, it just keeps getting worse. It's the Act Man situation, Act Man versus YouTube. The Act Man is a large YouTuber who recently
Thank
posted an
you.
hour-long
Thank
video,
you.
basically an
Thank you.
ESPN 30 for 30
Thank you
documentary
for this. This is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you so much. Thank you.
on another YouTube channel going over all the awful things that they've done or said in their time on the internet. And as a result of posting this video, he received a strike. YouTube took it down due to nudity and sexual content because of a poorly photoshopped cucumber next to the person's mouth.
YouTube is fucking dog shit with the MCA and these sorts of fucking restrictions. They will regularly use the vague nature of terms of service violations in an effort to clamp down on political messaging all the fucking time. Famously, if you remember, the video that I had, where what was I talking about? Like, what the fuck was it? It was like, do gay people exist or something? Like, I did a YouTube video about Republicans. I did a YouTube video about like Republicans. Oh no, COVID. Was it COVID? It wasn't about. Was it about gay people? I don't know. Basically, it was one of those fucking YouTube videos where like, it was one of those fucking YouTube videos that was like straight up about, another, yeah, dear conservatives, gay people exist. Okay, that's what it was, and immediately they were like, bam, blammo, you're done. We're just not going to let you fucking monetize that video. I was like, that was bullshit.
Who the video was about. That seems like a pretty drastic over-enforcement of the rule. If they really found it to be highly sexual, it should have just resulted in limited ads as opposed to a full strike on the channel. Like, I've eaten a banana in a video before, and now I'm starting to sweat. Like, what might happen to me? It just really felt like one of those moments that was a full-blown mistake, and we've seen it a million times in the past, where the YouTube bots controlled by Skynet malfunction and issue a strike at random by accident, and then it's overturned shortly thereafter. However, the appeal was rejected within, I believe, 30 minutes of the Act Man submitting it, a manual rejection, which means someone with a pulse supposedly looked at it and still said, yep, that shit's staying off the platform. We're putting the kibosh on it right now. So then it became a little bit fishier. Why? The reasoning just doesn't make any sense. It's not like he uploaded Mr. Hands or Two Girls, One Cup in his video. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny piece of an hour-long video that had something that is slightly sexual and by all definitions pretty inoffensive. Almost no one's gonna look at that and be like, holy shit, cover your eyes. Oh my lord, he's going too hard. He's going hog wild out there. It's just not the most sexually explicit thing in the world. Even if they're going full Weenie Hut Jr. mode here, it's still pretty tame by those definitions. Like, it just didn't make any sense. I also think this highlights another shortcoming YouTube's had since the beginning of time, where if a single minuscule piece of a video is a problem, they strike the whole video. They take the whole thing down instead of just letting you yourself remove that piece, that insignificant little piece, that 2 or 3 second little problem zit. Why not just let the creator pop it? YouTube has a built-in editor where you can take things out. So why not just alert the channel like, hey, the video's fine, but there's this one part that's a problem. If you want to keep it in, it's going to get age restricted or you're going to get a strike. But you can take it out and nothing will happen. We're letting you know you have 1 week to take it out. Every single channel would elect to take it out. Like in Act Man's case, if they just told him the cucumber Photoshop thing is a problem, I'm certain he would have used the editor to just take it out of the video. Problem solved, and then there's no issue. And that saves YouTube a lot of trouble as well, because that completely avoids the ensuing shitstorm. Why not just let us use the editor to take out the problem? It's something that I also pitched to Susan, the CEO of YouTube, when I talked to her.
Damn, motherfucker knows Susan on a first name basis. Flex, dude. Fucking flex, king. Absolute flexer, bro. Are you joking? I pitched this to Susan, who I'm best friends with.
She thought it was a great idea, as did the policy head. That was 2 years ago. When is it coming? But anyway, in his anger, he turned to the dark side and committed the sin that every YouTuber is guilty of. He went to Twitter to start a shitstorm to finally force a real answer out of YouTube, to finally get an actual response and real action from the company. But unfortunately for Actman, he ended up with YouTube's cucumber in his mouth. They responded to this by age restricting 2 videos of his that were completely unrelated, and then just hitting the speedrun any percent record for appeal rejections by slapping it down in 30 minutes. So, needless to say, the Twitter action wasn't super effective for Actman, but this was only the beginning. Because as of 2 hours ago, YouTube wasn't done huffing and puffing. They blew his whole house down. They demonetized Actman's entire channel.
This makes no sense.
Leaving him ineligible for future monetization. This is essentially being fired from his job, all without ever getting a single explanation as to why. It just happened. So this seems like a complete failure on YouTube's part here, and everything that resulted after the initial strike was done in pure pettiness. There's one more thing I'd like to talk about, and it's a little unrelated to the exact Actman situation, but it has to do with the way YouTubers get YouTube's attention directly. As you've noticed throughout the entire history of YouTube, every time there's a problem, people go to Twitter to talk about it, and vent about it, and tag YouTube in it. And the reason for that is because for most channels, that's the only means of getting a response from the company.
100%. 1,000,000%. Even if you have a YouTube partner, like I have a YouTube account manager, you know what I mean? Half the time, actually, to be fair, my YouTube account manager is pretty nice. I'm not going to shit on him. Never mind. I take it back. I was about to say half the time it's like easier to get fucking answers directly and like push YouTube by like, whipping up people. But I do have a nice account manager. But like JCS also has problems with YouTube as well. I don't even think he has an account manager. It's fucked up. It's fucked up though.
Do you know how fucking pathetic that is? To have people like Actman, who are essentially employees, having to go on Twitter and publicly whine about their boss? That's so demoralizing. Having to grovel at their feet, cry and beg for just a little scrap of information as to what's going on, and if they can...
Actman is the same guy who was tweeting stuff like, what's the big deal, guys? What about BLM in the summer riots while the Capitol was being stormed on January 6th? So it's almost like karma. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think this Actman dude is a good guy. Okay? It seems like he's not a good guy. Except, it doesn't really matter because you can still be fucked over, okay, by YouTube as a content creator. Regardless of how reactionary your perspective is, especially if your reactionary point of view is not necessarily the main focus of your content, and your reactionary point of view is not like Steven Crowder. Okay? Why? Because if someone has like fucking idiotic baboon-like reactionary fucking takes, but their content in and of itself is not about that at all, even if he's not a fucking good guy, ultimately he should still get a fair shake under the YouTube structure, especially if he's not fucking making agitprop. Like if he's making fucking Nazi videos or whatever, or if he's like a conservative shithead who's like making fucking YouTube videos about like how I don't know, making YouTube videos about how fucking gay people shouldn't exist or whatever the fuck, then yeah, if YouTube claps down on that, I'm not going to be like, wow, that's terrible. I can't believe YouTube is doing that. There's a terms of service for a fucking reason. But this is not about that. This is actually about someone who is making content under the YouTube banner, getting fucked over by YouTube for unrelated shit when he's not even in a fucking violation of the terms of service. Okay? Like, who gives a fuck if you don't like his personal politics? Like, I don't like his personal politics. Fuck him. Okay? There you go. But it's a cancel culture world now. Man, shut the fuck up. Got demonetized for attacking an anti-LGBT user, a YouTuber who abused the copyright system. Yeah, also, I was going to say, like, literally, like, Quantum TV has said worse shit, it seems like. About the LGBT community anyway. So it's like a situation where you got a fucking dickhead and like a way worse dickhead fighting against one another. And the way worse dickhead is also doing like additional bad shit. You know what I mean? So what do you want? It's not cancellation either. It's like someone being able to fucking willy-nilly abuse copyright restrictions. I don't know. You are so wrong on this. Once you're bad, you deserve everything bad like Ethan when he called for the top of the hour. But whatever you want to read it, fuck you, dude. You just fucking put a bomb in my top of the hour ad break plans, okay? That's what you did. You like that? All right, let's continue with this video.
Every other alternative going through all of the proper YouTube channels, but it never leads to solutions. The only thing that does is by making a big hubbub on Twitter about it. It's just so pathetic. No YouTuber or anyone wants to be publicly whining on Twitter about a problem. They want it to be fixed behind the scenes, and YouTube shouldn't want it to be a big problem on Twitter either. The Act-Man shit has been trending for like 12 hours now. It's like the #1 trend in the world. And it's bad for YouTube, but he's tried everything else. He's been talking to his partner manager, whom I'm just going to say seems like has no power in this situation, which is about par for the course because a lot of times partner managers have absolutely no ability to solve problems. They're fundamentally just hall monitors for the principal, but don't actually have any level of power, unfortunately, though I do believe they should because every partner manager I've ever known at YouTube is a great person, really on the side of creators, but their hands are tied with what they're given from the company and how to handle problems. So the only thing YouTubers can do is once they exhaust their partner manager, if they even have one, and once they exhaust all the official channels, all they can do, the only thing left, is to make a big deal about it on Twitter. And it sucks. It sucks for YouTube because they look like shit, per usual, and it sucks for the creator because no one wants to just be publicly, making a big scene about shit that should be private. It's just so frustrating that it's been like this for years with no signs of changing. They need to improve the communication. When I had a conversation with Susan, this was one of the things I brought up, and I was told that
Bro, you still talking about Susan on a first name basis. I'm about to act up, dude.
they're working on making that better. That's been 2 years now, and it's still the same. And unfortunately, in Act-Man's case, it backfired on him because YouTube got upset about it and started really blasting his whole channel over the issue. Even though they only had a problem with one video, for some reason they extended it to his entire channel, which seems to be purely done out of spite. Regardless of how you feel about Act-Man or Act-Man's video that started all of this, I believe everyone can agree that the strike is utter bullshit. There is no grounds for nudity and sexual content strike here. And there's even less reasonable explanation for why 2 completely unrelated videos got age restricted shortly after this problem was brought to Twitter. And there's absolutely zero reason for why his whole channel was then demonetized afterward. All of this completely unrelated from that first video. It seems like a complete fuck up from YouTube and an utter failure to enforce their policies properly. And I'm pretty confident they will overturn this. I really do think they will. I think at some point it'll go up the right chain and the right people and they'll realize that all of this was a big mistake and they'll overturn it. But they need to not only accept responsibility, but improve the system that keeps failing the platform. There's no reason, again, why YouTubers have only one course of action, which is to go to Twitter. Partner managers need more power to fix things. There's just no downsides to giving partner managers more power. Legitimately, only good things can come from that. It's not like it's going to birth Dr. Doom. There's not going to be some rogue YouTube employee partner manager who just becomes a supervillain and, uploads Goatsy on everyone's channel or some shit. If a partner manager has more power and can actually solve problems like Act-Man's here, which would only take a couple of seconds to recognize that this is an over-enforcement of their policy and a mistake, then that whole problem gets shut down immediately, and it never makes it as far as this one has in the public eye, where now it's a huge thing on Twitter and YouTube and Twitch. A lot of people talking about it on Twitch too because it's such a big, wide-ranging issue. None of that happens if a partner manager can just solve it themselves. But unfortunately, we don't live in that utopia. We're fucking condemned to this dystopian Narnia where YouTube has this archaic, awful system in place that nothing ever gets solved unless there's an absolutely massive public backlash against the company. So now everyone sees how stupid YouTube looks and how mismanaged.
I agree with what Charlie's saying about YouTube being fucking mismanaged and allowing people to rampantly abuse copyright strikes. So there's no additional feedback that I can give in this video. But also I was simultaneously looking up the C11 Act in fucking Canada or some shit. Because like apparently